So we understand that Quest is probably not a major publisher for most of your companies. However, their product solutions are good and they do offer a lot of value to their end customers. But as we've talked about, on the flip side, Quest is a company with an aggressive compliance program that is continuing to gather steam. At this point, compliance does form a large revenue stream for Quest, and the company is continuing to push heavily on conducting audits. If you haven't faced a Quest audit within the last 2 to 3 years, it's likely that your turn is going to come. These audits move rather quickly, and the auditing team is incentivized to maximize findings. So with that being said, the advice that we offer today is to be proactive. You do not want the first time that you evaluate your Quest software footprint to be when one of their auditors comes knocking at your door. And even if you have been through the audit experience before, don't let things slip. Maintain good governance over your portfolio and stay prepared. So let's talk about conducting internal health checks and being able to locate, interpret, and track what's installed in your environment. The best way to ensure compliance, as well as really identify optimization and good internal housekeeping procedures that will prevent headaches for you, is to conduct a detailed review of your Quest portfolio every 6 to 12 months. While this particular presentation is obviously Quest-centric, this is good advice for managing most publisher software and really is something that's often pushed aside as other priorities take center stage. Knowing what you're entitled to, what you have installed, and what you are consuming, and also where these products are in use, will benefit you greatly, not only in regards to your compliance, but in managing your portfolio and software budget as a whole. While it's not detailed enough for tracking your software footprint completely, especially in regards to Quest, a SAM tool is a good starting point. That being said, one important item for organizations that have invested in really any SAM tool is the need to continuously maintain the tool. So ensuring that good coverage throughout your entire environment and then working to periodically reconcile the data that you have will really ensure a more effective system of truth. Having a complete and accurate SAM tool has benefits that really stretch beyond just compliance and Quest. While you're not always going to get license-specific metric data, a good SAM tool is at least going to tell you which products you have installed and where they're sitting. This is extremely beneficial, especially in large environments that are not centrally managed, as we've touched on earlier. If you don't know what you have installed and where it's sitting, you're really setting yourself up for large compliance and budgeting risks, to be honest. Another point worth mentioning here, I guess, is that of understanding what to search for. So for instance, when you're querying for Quest software, if you query your SAM tool for just the word Quest, that isn't necessarily going to provide you with the full picture. In the earlier slide on the history of Quest, you heard that Quest at one point was owned by Dell. So during that period, Dell required that products sold and shipped would have the Dell reference included. So even now, after the divestiture, some of Quest products are still showing up as being published by Dell. Really, this just comes back to knowing what to look for and being able to sort relevant data from irrelevant data. A secondary and equally important element here is how important it is to understand how to interpret the licensing metrics of the products that you own. Quest has lots of different licensing metrics, and each is different and needs to be tracked and monitored in an individual way. So understanding the licensing metrics and terms for each product that you are entitled to is really essential to good governance and then remaining compliant to your contractual obligations. But really, this is a roadblock for a lot of organizations. I'm going to touch on a few specific examples here today, but ultimately, this is an area of expertise that can't be gathered from simply listening to webinars like this one or reading Quest's licensing briefs. If your organization needs help understanding the products that you own and how you're obligated to deploy, monitor, and manage them, we're here to help with that. Again, I'm going to use Toad as an example just to be consistent. Toad is a product that's licensed by the metric seat. Seat loosely translates to user. Toad also has a variety of different editions, which are unlocked by license keys that provide different functionality levels. So information like license keys is not going to be reflected in any SAM tool. But it's absolutely paramount in determining your compliance with Quest's Toad products. Your organization needs to have a system in place to capture these core data points. So looking at this specifically in the case of Toad, can your organization pull the license keys? If you can pull the keys, can you interpret them? Looping back to the earlier points regarding document retention, do you have the records retained showing which keys are associated with which products additions and their governing terms? If the answer is no to any of the above, you need an expert to help you sort through this. Over deployments of Toad, as well as piracy and third-party keys, are common findings in nearly any Quest audit, and they're going to be costly. For a little clarification here, a pirated key is essentially a cracked key, typically with a bogus site message that can be downloaded from many dark corners of the internet. Pirated keys can also be found quite frequently on key generators and portable technologies, such as thumb drives, which can spread like wildfire through an organization. Another common issue and high revenue for compliance is the issue of third-party keys. This simply means that you're using another organization's key in your environment. It's not a cracked key, but it's viewed in a similar manner in the eyes of Quest because the fundamental issue here is that they want to know how and why your company is using a key shared exclusively with another legal entity that you should not have access to and have absolutely no rights to. With that said, let's stop here and delve into cracked pirated keys a little further. Aside from the obvious compliance issues, what security risks does identifying a cracked pirated key raise? The words cracked key are pretty much an automatic red flag for any IT security officer, CIO, or the like. Really, in my auditing experience, any time that I've identified a cracked install in a customer's environment, there are immediate concerns throughout the organization regarding overall IT security, malware, spyware, and potential compromisation of critical information. And let's face the facts here, when any software publisher can prove the existence of piracy or cracked pirated keys or third-party keys or a key generator or whatever it may be in your environment, any commercial negotiation leverage is gone and you are basically staring down the barrel here. Another key area that is often overlooked, but again causes issues with not only Quest, but a variety of publishers, are server environments, server product installs, and remote access. We often see that access to a product installed on a server is synonymous to users who have access to the server itself. So even though a majority of those users likely do not need or utilize or even know how to access most of the products in the standard image, they are still able to access. This is a big revenue stream for Quest's compliance program because licensing for Quest is based on the ability to access and not who actually accesses the product. The easiest way that we've found to control this is through AD groups and security controls. So grouping together users who need access to the product and then only allowing those specific users to access with those rights being appropriately restricted and governed. While this is a more specific example, really the key takeaway here is just surrounding controls and accurate data tracking. If you're unable to control who has access to specific products in your environment, Compliance is going to be difficult to maintain, and internal counts are unlikely to be accurate ultimately. So really kind of to wrap this all up, what this comes down to is having the appropriate background knowledge, correct processes and controls, as well as the expertise that you can rely on to proactively manage your software footprint it's absolutely key. If any of these pieces of this process are broken, or maybe your organization doesn't even know where to begin with this, bring in experts with the knowledge that can get you where you need to be. At the end of the day, even if you have the best controls in the world, if you don't have experts who understand all of these nuances, it's only going to make your job harder.